Hello, this is Dodie from Deliberate Aging. Welcome to my podcast. Today I have the privilege of interviewing Melissa Huha, a health coach from Optavia. I'm very excited to have her here today to pick her brain about the programs that she offers. So welcome to the show, Melissa. So Melissa, why don't you start with giving us a brief overview of who you are?
Oh my goodness. I think so many of us wear more hats than we realize are on our heads. But Melissa Huha, I have been living in Pompton Lakes, New Jersey since I think 1998. I am a teacher in the town where I live. I'm retiring this year, but I've been here living and working for that amount of time. I have been married to my husband for I don't even know how many years. I'm going to guess 27, although I could be off on that. I feel like somewhere around my second child, I stopped paying attention to numbers for myself. So, sketchy on that. I have three boys, ages 22, 20, and 16. And I have been a health coach with the Optavia program for 5 years. I am a super avid reader. I love to hike and fish. And in general, I just love to help people.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so the real thing that intrigued me about you is that health coach. And now that you've mentioned it, so you've only been a health coach for 5 years, which means that you started this new role a little bit later in life.
Yes, I did. I started very much later in life, and it's also the kind of thing that I never envisioned myself doing. I'm an educator, and I don't think it would have appealed to me as much as it did until I realized that it was so much more than a weight loss and health program as much as it was a teaching program. So when I realized it was about teaching and education, I was drawn to it. But I really didn't find it until I stumbled into it as a client. And once it affected me so positively, I really couldn't rationalize not, I needed to send it outward to others. I had to pay it forward.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, I like that idea. So, how do you actually tailor programs for someone that contacts you and says, I have, say, I want to lose 20 pounds? How do you tackle that?
Well, it's a good question. And we have a very specific and structured system of digging into a client's goals, a potential client. We dig into their not only their goals, but their why. We call it a why. It's their reasoning for connecting with us. We really do need to peel back the layer of the onion to get to the core of their not only needs that might be physical, but the mental behind it. Most people that want to lose 20 pounds, there's something way deeper than 20 pounds at play there. Are they suffering in confidence? Are they avoiding social situations? Do they have high cholesterol? Is there a mobility issue? Are they not able to play with their children for lack of energy? So when I tackle that, and that's a great word, by the way, tackle, I start with a lot of questioning that is predetermined. I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a doctor. It's simply the lineage of questions we ask clients when they come to us. And I've learned over 5 years how to branch out and make really good follow-up questions when people are talking to me. So we start with mindset. When it comes to which plan, because we have 12 different plans, I I have to ask a lot of questions about their lifestyle, including age, um, any medical conditions. We talk about exercise. We really want to fit people with something that will be successful for them, but also honor the nutritional plan that will benefit them most. So a lot of questions.
Okay. So it sounds like it's very personalized, individual program. So like a 20-year-old that contacts you would definitely get a different plan than a 60-year-old.
That's a great thing to ask. You'd be surprised. Many clients that come to us, regardless of age or story, wind up in our most popular plan despite their demographic, simply because of their nutritional habits and lack of medical conditions. So, if you have more than 10 pounds to lose and are not presenting any medical conditions and you have an okay by your doctor, a lot of people will fall into our most popular plan. However, where the differentiated instruction goes, where the coaching really gets more personal, is as the person starts going through the plan. An Optavia health coach, we have weekly contact with our clients, and during that conversation, things come up that require us to tweak the plan or make an adjustment. So that's when it gets personalized.
So tell me why someone needs a health coach versus being able to just do it on their own.
Oh, I can speak to this personally. This is an opinion question, I think, so I will give you my opinion. There's hundreds of ways to lose weight, and there's hundreds of ways to get healthy. Most people that are adults know what those are, but whether it's lack of motivation or lack of consistency, they don't stick with it. A coach is somebody that is a source of accountability. The little angel and the little devil on your shoulder, we're on the angel side. We're just there. And most importantly, a large majority of us that have experienced this company and plan and have decided to coach, we have been there. So we have very relatable stories. And when somebody's been in your shoes and has achieved a goal you're trying to achieve, the desire to connect with that person is pretty strong. So clients that come to us that utilize their coach the way it's intended to be really do have epic success. I think having someone in your corner makes a very big difference.
I agree. Is there any journaling or tracking involved in this program?
Yes, some of it is encouraged and some of it is required. So, depending on the program that we match folks with, depending on their goals, one thing that we track is what they're eating and what time. Our programs are all revolving around the idea that you eat at regular intervals. So, tracking when you eat is something that we do. We also track water intake, and the program naturally tracks macros and calories. The client doesn't have to do that because if you follow our scientific plans, it's done for you. But the tracking of water and timing is on the client. That is something that really needs to be attended to for optimal success. Now, journaling in a notebook or in our materials, one of the parts of our transformation of health system is called the life book. There's journaling in that book. It's very self-reflective. Clients go through it at their own pace. and it's meant to be consumed over the course of a year. It's the kind of thing where even if you reach your goal in a month, we want you to still be doing that mindset work. And this particular educational piece of our program is for journaling. There are places to write in it. And my specific clients, those that work with me, I encourage journaling in a great many areas. I love them to write down their meals that they are successful at making, so they know to have them again, because who doesn't want to keep doing what works?
Hmm.
I am, and I always encourage everybody to wake up and write down 3 points of gratitude. I like every client to start the day by journaling gratitude. I feel like that sets everyone up for a successful day in front of them when you start with the positive. But that's a personal coaching recommendation from me. The program in and of itself, though, has a book for self-reflection.
Okay. I like the gratitude journal because I've been reading a lot about how humans have a negativity bias, and it's really important for us to focus on the good in our life because there really is a lot of good out there, right?
Jody, I feel like that makes me want to tell you a little bit about our weekly phone calls. Sometimes when I have my weekly check-in with clients, they immediately go to a wrinkle in their week that needs to be ironed, or a little bit of self-deflating if the number on the scale wasn't as flashy as they hoped it would be. And I always steer them to what went well. Did you get your water? Look how wonderful it is that you took my phone call today. Some people would not have taken the phone call. Did you hit your timers? We always try to steer people back to what went well. I think the positive has to be in the front of the line.
I think that's a great idea. I really like that. So you said that even if someone reaches their goal, say after 1 month, you want them to continue journaling for a full 12 months.
Well, the book is meant to be consumed in a year. I've been with the company and on my own personal health journey for over 5 years, and I've been through that book 3 times, cover to cover. I don't think we can ever stop having a need for personal development. And there are many books I've encountered for personal development. This one is one that I love as well. So I recommend for anybody to keep going through it. But clients, after reaching their goal, we don't leave them, unless they leave us. I have clients that have reached their goal years ago, and we still do a weekly or bi-weekly check-in, because as we talked about a few minutes ago, that accountability and having somebody to be in your corner it's so valuable.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. Okay, so you said that before you became a health coach, you were actually a client. So tell
Correct.
us your personal story. Why did you seek out a health coach? What were you dealing with, and how did that work out for you?
So it's important to know that I didn't seek out a health coach. I didn't even realize I was going to be working with a health coach. I just needed to button my pants. And I know that sounds shallow, but I had really gotten to a point in my life where I was out of control with my choices. I was mothering 3 boys. We had a lot of strife in the house, things that our children were going through that were out of our control. And, when you can't control things, it causes stress, and every mother questions their ability to do the right thing by their children. And I was self-soothing with food, with alcohol. I was really going down a rabbit hole of numbing my failures. And I had done many, many things to lose weight. None of them were particularly difficult. I would always lose a little bit of weight, but then my habits never changed. So when I came to this program, I wanted to lose weight, but in a very, very short amount of time. I'm going to say like 4 days. 4 days of following this plan, what I found was control. I felt empowered. I felt like I had a life preserver to hold on to. And honestly, I didn't interact really well with my coach initially. That came later when I gained confidence that this was going to work for me long term. Then I started utilizing that aspect of it a lot better. And I tell people when I bring them on to this, if they show interest and they sign up, I say, listen, when I started, I did not communicate effectively with my coach, but you're going to do it from the word go because, I learned from my own mistakes. But at the very bottom line of why I came to the program, it was initially to lose weight, but when I peeled back the onion, I really just needed to take control over my behaviors.
Well, earlier in the conversation, you mentioned that a lot of your clients might come in and saying, I need to lose 20 pounds, but that's not their true why. That's not their true motivation for losing weight. There's something deeper.
Correct.
And it sounds like you found your deeper.
I did find my deeper. I feel in control. And, I think I still am a mother that questions everything I do. I had been relying on my age to blame my habits. I was like, okay, this is perimenopause. This is just how it is at this point in life. I'm just going to have to buy another set of bigger pants. But, once I gained some control and stopped feeling so addicted to bad habits and sugar and alcohol, I started to every positive thing rippled outward. I became a better mother. I became more tolerant of every negative thing I encountered in the world. And I stand firmly behind the idea that if you can better yourself, everyone around you will be better as well.
Yep, I agree. So, if you don't mind me asking, how much weight did you actually lose?
I lost 30 pounds
Wow.
and it has been gone for 5 years. Now I do hover around the 30-pound mark. I just got back from a vacation in Florida, and believe me, I came home a few pounds up, but they're gone already
Mm,
because I know what to do.
mm.
I learned habits instead of just meal planning, those habits that are what stick with us.
Right. So it sounds like it's not so strict that you can't splurge and have some fun on special occasions like vacations, or say you're invited to a wedding or something like that.
Oh, correct, correct. And I think that's why people stick with us long after they reach their goal. They like the idea that this is a livable and sustainable program. And I've coached many people that have just loved having the community of support. In addition to the one on one coaching, we have Facebook community pages, we have the teaching materials, we have podcasts. People like to feel like they're not alone.
So personally, tell us, what do you eat and the timing of your meals on a typical day right now?
Sure. So I'm an early riser. I'm up by 5:30 in the morning. I eat almost immediately, and I eat every 2.5 to 3 hours until I go to bed. I eat on that cycle. I learned it during my weight loss phase, and I stand by the idea of keeping an active metabolism. You give your body something to metabolize, and it'll go to work. So I eat every 2.5 to 3 hours from wake up until bed, and I eat high protein, healthy carbohydrates. I drink a lot of water. I take amino acids. I work out. Oh, I don't eat or work out. Sorry, that didn't go with the question. But I really pay attention to foods that make me feel good. I stay very much away from anything that was white, is white, or could be white. Anything that'll break down into heavy amounts of glucose. I stay away from that. Makes me feel terrible. And I eat sensible portions. Prior to finding the plan, I was a volume eater. I was the person that could eat the entire meal at a restaurant that served, supersized food. I could eat all of that. So what I eat, when I eat, and how much I eat is now just ingrained in who I am.
Okay, so let me ask you a question about that. What do you think about intermittent fasting?
It's an interesting question, and I had a very strong feeling you would ask me. So I did that. I did intermittent fasting prior to finding Optavia, and I did lose some weight on it. For my lifestyle, it did not work for me mentally because I did not enjoy the idea of being in a life situation where there was food, but it wasn't my time to eat. I also did not like how I felt. I personally didn't feel good when I tried that. But I, of course, having been in this business and having personally been involved in health and wellness for over 5 years now, I've looked into many different plans and I've run into people that have had epic success in that space. It was just not for me.
So that gets back to, I'm going to call it mindfulness in the journaling. You're writing down and just taking notice of how what you're consuming or doing during the day feels for your body because we're all different, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. And when I so an interesting thing about our program is although we are happy to have people utilize our plans and our products and our system as long as they want, we don't want anyone to be in the weight loss phase consuming our products for years on end. We want people to transition to whole foods. That's the whole point. We want people to get to a healthy weight and move on to whole foods. So when people go through transition on our plan, I always have people keep a food log then because that's the point where you start bringing back foods that you did not have during weight loss. And sometimes you learn some very interesting things. I, for one, can't eat apples anymore. I loved apples. They were hands down my favorite fruit. However, when I went back to all whole foods, when apples came back into the meal plan, I got an instant headache every single time. So for me, the sugar content in them just doesn't work for me. So it's really good to journal and be cognizant of how you feel after you eat, pay attention to what you eat, really just note how you're affected by what you put in your body. And I love that we do that.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I like that idea. So you mentioned exercise briefly. You must do that often.
I do now. It's something that I've found joy in. I used to exercise to lose weight and or punish myself for having eaten far too much of a bad thing.
Mhm.
And now I exercise because number one, my body wants me to. Like I just feel like I want to move. So I do. And also I think people need to always have a goal. Like I reached my weight loss goal. I now need to have something else to work toward. So I've increased running and I've started lifting weights. I'm trying to improve skeletal muscle. And, at my age, I'm 53, I'm worried about bone density. So exercise is in there. And when you asked me about how to determine a plan for somebody, we do have plans for people that want to exercise heavily and or moderately right off the bat because that plan is different than somebody who is sedentary.
Okay. So now I'm going to throw a totally different question at you that I didn't prepare you for.
Oh, I love it.
So the research shows that people who have a purpose in life are healthier and have longer lifespans. So every morning when you wake up and you're about to jump out of bed, what gets you out of bed with enthusiasm every morning?
Oh my gosh, that's easy. Who am I going to help today? I mean, I go to work with a classroom of 11-year-olds, and I know I have the opportunity to connect with 58 little people and influence them positively. And I know every client that comes my way, I'm going to be able to give them a golden nugget to motivate them for the upcoming week. And I use my social media and my myself in the outside world to just try to be a positive influence. I smile at somebody that looks downtrodden. I know I'm getting up to make a positive impact, and that brings me out of bed at 5:30 every morning.
That's great. I absolutely love that. So this was so inspirational. I mean, I've been nodding my head the whole time. I know you can't see me because we're doing a phone interview here, but I have been agreeing with everything you said. So I'm sure there's other people out there who've been agreeing with it too and would like to find out more about you. And how can they contact you?
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm on both Facebook and Instagram. I'll be honest with you, I'm only on Instagram to see what my kids are up to, but Facebook is the best way to find me. If you search my name, it's got so much information. And not only does it have my number and my survey if you wanted to connect with me about health, but the most important thing about my Facebook is you can get to know me as a person, because I promise you, there are so many people out there that are willing to help another person find a better self, but you've got to have a connection. So when people find me, I want them to know who I am. You're going to see my dogs and my kids and my messy hair and my dirty house. And that's what I want people to see when they find me, so they can decide if I'm the person that's going to be able to talk with them candidly about their goals.
Great. So they're going to meet the real Melissa virtually via Facebook. And then
I
they'll
am
realize if
very,
they, yeah, if they connect with you.
I'm, I'm very much known for my candor, and I am who I am. There are many people that are available to work with in the health and wellness space. I want people to come to me that feel like they can talk to me about real things, because if there's no trust and confidence in that relationship, I'm never going to be able to peel back that onion for people to get to their pain point, and that's what will drive them to reach their goals.
Yeah, I am again agreeing with everything you're saying. And this has been super informative. And I'm so happy that you were able to come on the show today. So thank you so much.
It was a pleasure and a privilege, and I can't thank you enough for thinking of me. This has been super fun for me as well.
Thanks for listening. This is Dodie from Deliberate Aging. Until next time, be well, friends. This podcast is presented solely for informational and educational purposes only. Use of information from this podcast is at the user's own risk. It is not intended as a substitute for the advice of your physician or other qualified professional. We are not responsible for any losses, damages, or liabilities that may arise from use of this podcast.